guys. Welcome back to my channel, my friends. Aparna Chandran, certified personal trainer and nutrition coach, here today to talk about the most uncomfortable, the most annoying but healthiest process of a woman's body, menstruation, aka periods. And while I do talk about that, I know it's not the most ideal, but I am hungry and I made this wonderful bowl of, now I need to change my fork, just give me a sec. There we go. Right, wonderful bowl of pasta, actually not pasta, millet noodles with like a roasted capsicum sauce. I will put the recipe down below. Anyways, I know it might be a little weird, actually not weird to talk about periods when I'm eating, but it's okay, that's fine. You know what, let's just move on. So for those of you who don't know, menstruation aka periods is a woman's body getting ready for childbirth. It's the body's way of telling you that your body is ready to host a child, host another human being. And it's an amazing process, but yet annoying and uncomfortable because we get cramps, and menstruation pads are not the most comfortable ever, especially if you're into working out, sports, the sweat. Yeah, it's not a nice process to go through. Luckily for me, I do not get cramps or any sort of pain, but I have a lot of friends, a lot of family who do, and it's just very sad because they absolutely cannot move. And for 1 year, I didn't get my period, and I thought this was the best thing that happened to me. And of course I was wrong, because I ended up running to the doctor for that entire year. And this is what happened. Healthy kid, playing basketball all through school, and then boom, academics, so 12th board exams, stopped playing basketball for 3 months, put on a lot of fat, I would say, which didn't really matter, but there was hardly any exercise. And then went to college, joined the basketball team, so I didn't really care because I knew that I would become fit again. First day of college, staying in hostel, ate mess food and fell sick, food poisoning, came down with a fever, but still continued to play basketball. Lost my appetite, stopped eating, survived on lime juices, lime sodas for 2 whole weeks and dropped 12 kgs. The most unhealthiest way to lose weight. And I went back home, ate a full-fledged South Indian meal cooked by my mom, delicious food, ate all of it and threw it up because I didn't have an appetite, my stomach had shrunk. And then since then, I stopped eating because 1, I couldn't eat, 2, I just wanted to maintain the weight loss. So what other way than to not eat? And that actually resulted in me not getting my period. It started off with me getting my period, but the frequency became a lot lesser. It was not regular, and then it just completely stopped. And it stopped once. Doctors were like, you know what, it's fine, it's not a big deal. Some people still go through that, it's okay. Didn't come for 3 months, got a little worried, ran to every doctor possible. I went to a general physician, then I went and got my thyroid checked. I checked for tumors and cysts in my uterus, checked for worms in my stomach, for digestion issues, for diabetes because I kept losing weight even further, and everything was normal except for the fact that I wasn't getting my periods. And that journey was a nightmare because everywhere I went, the only topic was how thin I was, and then my mom, who was worried, kept talking to everybody in the family about how I was not getting my periods, and she didn't know what to do because we'd been to every doctor and everything was normal. And yeah, it was not a really good time. Then finally, we went to a gynecologist who just told me, you know what, you need to go on an ice cream diet. And this is the first time I've heard a doctor say ice cream diet. And you would think that any college kid would be happy to eat a lot of ice creams, right? For me, it was the opposite because lo and behold, I was the health freak who would not touch sugar at all, and I was so scared of eating, would not touch sugar, would not touch fried food, hell, would not even touch food at times. And this was not a nice solution for me. And yeah, but that was the solution. So I started eating a little bit more, and eventually I got my period back. Not as much as before, but like I at least got it back. I had tried so many medications, nothing worked. And if you think about it, what I was finally diagnosed with was called athletic amenorrhea. Athletic amenorrhea is basically seen in a lot of female athletes, or at least used to be, because the amount or the intensity of the exercise is so high, the training is so high, that the fat percentage in the female body is very, very low. And for you to get periods, or for us to get periods, there has to be a certain amount of fat which helps in estrogen production in the body, which is what pushes the period, or which is why we get periods. And I had the same problem. I literally was skin and bones. I had no flesh, no fat in my body. Might sound very demeaning, but that was how people described me at that time, and I probably shouldn't do it. But I was so skinny that I felt cold, like at like 22 degrees, 23 degrees, I would start shivering. I had like, my skin was pale, I had a lot of hair fall, but the only thing that mattered to me that time was being thin. But anyway, this happened, and then I got my period back slowly, and then eventually, things got better. I started eating better. I did not need to take any medication, and my period was regularized. And the reason that I'm sharing this is that I know personally a lot of women, my friends in their 20s, who have irregular periods, who have PCOS, who have PCOD, who don't get their periods at all. And I have a lot of clients who come to me with the same problem and say that, they're coming to me not to lose weight, but to get their period back. Because they went to a doctor and their lifestyle isn't great. And the doctor just told them, you need to start exercising, you need to start losing weight. If you are going through this, then it's your body's way of telling you that something's not right. It is under stress. It is in survival mode. Because for a woman's body, a good sign of healthy is getting a healthy period. Because think about it, your body is literally getting ready to support another living being. And having a healthy period means you're fertile, your body is functioning properly. And yes, this can be due to genetics sometimes, like PCOS, PCOD, irregular periods can be due to genetics. But oftentimes, especially nowadays that I see, at least the clients who come to me, it's mostly because of lifestyle. And it's because of poor eating habits, poor quality of food, irregular sleep timing, not enough activity, a sedentary lifestyle, and dare I say a lot of alcohol and smoking and so many other substance uses. And it's just crazy, but all of these things affect the period. And if you want to be healthy, you need to make sure that you are keeping a check on your lifestyle, because one small change in your lifestyle can actually turn your entire body around and set your hormones right. That's the number one case. Number two, in my case, if you see, I was obviously under eating, overtraining, which meant my body was not getting enough nutrition. What enough? It was not getting any nutrition, because I used to survive on one lime soda a day. I don't know how I missed out on eating healthy food like this, which I haven't touched, by the way, speaking to you guys. But I was under eating, overtraining, which meant I was losing so much muscle, so much water weight, so much fat, and I had no fat in my body for my hormones to work. There was no estrogen production. There was literally like, all of my hormones were haywire actually. I had so many deficiencies. I had an iron deficiency, I had magnesium and zinc deficiency, I was diagnosed with hyperthyroid, just so many things. And obviously because of that, my metabolism was affected, due to which my hormones were affected. My hunger hormones went out of whack, which meant my estrogen and all of these things went out of whack. My cortisol was at such a high, and my body was just not working properly, which is why athletic amenorrhea, I didn't get my periods for a year. So I have to admit, it was a nice feeling to not be wearing menstrual pads all the time. That was the only upside of it. The downside though was me, like I said, just rushing around to the doctor day in and day out for a whole year and not figuring out what was wrong. But that was my part of the story. That was my version of the story. And if you are going through that, trust me, I am speaking from experience that it's very, very scary to try and put on weight to get your period. I've been there. I've been so hesitant. Like, it took me so much to force myself to eat a little more, and I also didn't have an appetite, but I pushed a little bit by bit, and even then it was just enough to get my period. Once I started getting my period, I stopped and just continued with that same thing, same quantity of food, because I didn't want to eat extra, and I was still extremely skinny, but I got my period. And I know it can be really, really scary, but you do have to put your foot down and move forward, and I will be sharing tips on how I did it. Maybe those can help you out too. So just stay tuned, because I will be sharing them at the end of the video. And number 3, extreme amounts of stress. And I think this is also very common nowadays, because I went through extreme amounts of stress last year in 2023, where I was just like, you know what, I need to have a career, but at the same time I need to be independent, and I need to do this in life, and I need to do so many other 100 things, but I also want to travel, I want to have a social life, I want to have friends, I want to start dating, whatever it was just so hard, and I was so extremely stressed. And I've seen so many other women go through this because they just want to juggle everything at once, and it's not easy. But such high levels of stress also can affect the period, and in many cases it does, which technically is not PCOS, PCOD. It's just the body being under huge amounts of duress, and on top of that, poor lifestyle factors add on to it, which is why the periods don't come, or the period doesn't come, and then they go on medication and things like that, visit a doctor. But the only way to do it is to change the lifestyle and reduce stress, which again is very hard because you're working or you're trying to achieve so many things, and that's your life, and you can't put a stop to it. And I get it, right? But your health needs to be your priority. If your health is not alright, there is no point doing a job. And I know it's very easy for me to say this, but I learned it the hard way last year. I burnt out so many times, working. Of course, my period didn't get affected last year, but working, and my health was at the lowest of the low it's ever been. Even though I wasn't skinny, I just felt so crap about myself. I felt sucky. I just didn't feel great at all. I was down a shithole. Like, seriously. Sorry for my use of language. But anyways, that's the sad part of the story. How do we actually get out of it? And I'm going to tell you right now, it is not easy. Especially, like I said, if you're going through what I went through, of like an eating disorder and not trying to gain weight, it's going to be very hard because you do not want to gain weight. You're very scared. And I understand that feeling because I was very scared too. And even now, sometimes I'm like, I look back and I'm like, oh, should I go back to being that lean? And you know what, was I better off that way? Did I look better? Did I feel better? So those thoughts always come around. But it's just step by step, small baby steps, one thing at a time. Alright, so I'm going to share what helped me to get out of this and actually get my period back, and hopefully it helps you out. If it does, I'll be very happy. So number 1, because I was not eating and I was over exercising all the time, and I was so obsessed with how I looked, I was just feeling tired all the time, like all the time. I was so tired, I was exhausted, I was irritated, I had so many deficiencies. And my hair, like, I'm very particular about my hair, and my hair was just, I had so much hair loss, and this was not done for me. One day I just woke up and I'm like, you know what, screw this, I can't live like this. I need to have more energy. I need to have more energy to, like, you know, walk around, move around, not feel cold all the time, travel, enjoy trips, play basketball, and just, you know, live life. So I needed more energy, and I think that was one major factor that actually pushed me to start eating a little bit more. And I think this can also work if you don't have an eating disorder, but you just have like, binge eating tendencies or stress eating tendencies, and your period is not coming because of poor lifestyle factors. I know changing binge eating and stress eating tendencies are a whole other level of like, practice and finding out the root cause and actually tackling the problem from the beginning. But this can also help, because if you do really want to get your period back, if you do really want to get your health back, like I said, priorities, P-R-I-O-R-I, yeah, yes, I spelled it right, priorities. So you need to take that step one by one. Keep telling yourself every day, I'm doing this for myself, so maybe I shouldn't binge eat, or maybe I can choose a healthier snack if irregular eating or poor eating habits is your problem. And slowly maybe just figure out stuff that you actually like in healthy food and make it tasty. Cook your own dish. Have like, potlucks, cook with family, enjoy food with family instead of fearing food or like just using it as a tool to support your emotions. Number 2, now this is not the best way to tackle a problem, but I did at that time and I did it out of fear. I don't like fear mongering. I don't like telling someone that, hey, if you do this, this will happen, and if you don't do this, this will be bad for you. I don't like that. But I personally at that time did it out of fear. Fear why? That if I don't get my periods, it can lead to so many other problems. And I personally, the one medical or health issue that I'm really, really scared of is cancer. And guys, irregular periods or menstrual dysfunction or irregular menses in the future can lead to tumors and cysts and infertility, and even things like cardiovascular diseases, cancer maybe, I'm not too sure, but then I read all of these things back then. But then I was extremely scared also, especially since I did take the scan like for cysts and like tumors in my uterus. I was extremely scared that if I didn't get my period, it would lead to that. And so it made me start taking steps towards my health. And I knew that I actually did go on an I wouldn't say an ice cream diet, but more like a sweet diet. I would have like 2 milk sweets every day, like rich, indulgent milk sweets, just to start gaining weight so that I could get my period back and get some fat in my body especially. And it kind of worked. But that I did this out of fear, and I am not saying that you should use this technique, but all I would say is use this as like, let's say, a sign for you to take care of your health. Because I know a lot of girls who say, it's just irregular periods, it's not a big deal, it will come back. If not treated properly in the future, it can lead to riskier things, more serious health problems, especially infertility. And if you're someone who wants to go through childbirth, it's very sad if you are dealing with infertility. And you might not realize it right now, but you will realize it later. So I want you to make sure that you are prioritizing your health. And think about the things that you want in the future. Think about how you want your health to be in the future, maybe 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line. Think of that and take steps right now. Yes, I know you might be like, I'm young, my body can take it. I will think about my future later, YOLO, what I'm going to enjoy, if not now, if when. Well, you need to have a good, healthy body to enjoy your life. And you don't have to go to extremes about it. Just start eating healthy. Just start eating normal food. Eat at regular times, sleep at regular times, and you're good to go. Lastly, I wanted to eat food and not starve. Like food like this, I wanted to eat it without guilt, without thinking of how many calories it would be, without thinking if I would gain weight. And also I wanted to go out, enjoy social parties without being like, oh no, what, if I eat here, I need to exercise a little bit more later. I didn't want to go through that anymore. Like I was at the edge, because I had episodes of binge eating where I would sit for 3 hours, binge on the weekend, and then throw up, and then run 10 to 15 kilometers the very same day, and then restrict myself throughout the week. And then maybe even sometimes through the week I would just give in and like eat like 3-4 chocolate bars and then feel so shitty about myself. Didn't want to go through that. And I also wanted to go out and enjoy with my friends. I was also dating at that time, and food, you bond over food. So I wanted to maintain my relationships. I didn't want to let those go. And yeah, it was a huge deal. So I did start eating a little bit more again. I didn't say I completely healed. I still would push back or cut back at times, but that was one of my motivations, and that was just to live life, to want to be able to eat healthy food, to want to be able to eat food and not starve myself. Because when I was especially in school, I was a huge foodie. Like literally when I played basketball, especially when we were training for tournaments, I would have morning and evening practice, and I would get 5 boxes of food to school. It was pre-breakfast. Pre-breakfast was actually at home. Then there was breakfast, snack, lunch, and then snack again. And then practice, I would eat something outside, go home, snack, and then eat at dinner and sleep. I was such a huge foodie, and it was a whole transition to come from there to not eating at all. So yeah, I just wanted to eat food. And don't you ever wonder, if you're not eating right now, don't you ever wonder, like, how can that person eat and still remain so healthy, remain so fit, remain so lean? Those are thoughts that has run through my head so many times. Like I look at some random person and I'm like, oh my god, that girl's so fit. What does she eat? And then I see her eating like, maybe it's a one-off day like burgers or a pizza, and I'm like, damn, she can eat that and still look like that. And yeah, you know what, I've been through that whole mental process, but it's also genetics. Yes, I'm not going to dive into that. There's a whole other, there's so many factors involved in it. But so in a nutshell, I just wanted to eat and did not want to have binge eating episodes. And actually what? Not restricting my eating and like eating in tune with my body, being intuitive about it, and not keeping boundaries for myself actually reduce the frequency of binge eating, reduce the frequency of cravings. And yes, this is true that when you restrict yourself psychologically, there are so many psychological factors or psychological effects of this, that when you restrict yourself, you start craving food more, which is what leads to binge eating. But when you do not set such boundaries and you give yourself the freedom, the permission to eat, the binge eating episodes over time become less frequent. Just give yourself complete freedom, see how it works. It takes time, it takes practice, and you know what? Even if it takes a long time, you don't need to worry, because I know when I used to see myself in the mirror, all I could see were flaws. And if you're going through something like that, when you see yourself in the mirror, all you can probably see is flaws. But you know what the other person sees? Your personality, your smile, your humor, your intellect, your creativity, and so many other things. Nobody really cares about the size of your waist, at least at first glance, right? So just remember that. And there are so many other things to celebrate about your body rather than hating it. And not eating food is not the way to go about it. So just enjoy your life, go with the flow, treat your body the way it deserves to be treated, enjoy your food, keep healthy, and you're good to go. And I hope that little motivational, little inspirational speech does help you out. And you know what, if it is your lifestyle factors, that's the only thing you need to change. But like I said, step by step, take it slow, make one change at a time, and you'll be reaching your goal in no time. And my noodles have gone completely cold, so I need to reheat this. And also it's become like upma. No more noodles, but okay. I'm so glad that my mouth's already watering that I'm going to eat these noodles. But anyways, I am so grateful for you guys that you watched this video, that you took the time to watch this video, and super grateful. Just I have no other words to say because my mind's just blank and I'm really hungry right now. So I'm gonna go, but if you did like this video, do hit the like button and that little bell to be notified of new videos. And I hope to see you next time. And if you do want to share your story and if you have anything to add, my comments are always open. You can also reach out to me on Instagram. I would love to chat and hear about your journey and hopefully help you out, or maybe just, exchange conversations. So I will see you in the next video, guys. Thank you so much once again. Bye.